Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the first edition of the CCINP Startup Council webinar series. We're very happy to have everybody here today and to be joined by such titans, such industrious figures, people that really do inspire us to do better in our own lives and in our own startup world, as Isabel Neves and Miguel Enriquez. And of course, my colleague Xavier Correa is also somebody that does make me want to be better by being so good himself. But I'll leave it to them to introduce themselves properly. I just wanted to say a few very nice words about Isabel and how she's been an innovator, an entrepreneur for 30 years. She's founded the first women's business angels club in Portugal. Really, there's somebody that I don't think we could have found anybody more qualified to be one of the first people on our startup council. And we're honored, we're proud, and we're very, very grateful to have her together with Mr. Miguel Enriquez, who is an entrepreneur in his own right and somebody worth looking up to. He's got a double MBA from Porto and from Lancaster University, and really somebody that, from the interactions that I've had with him and from reading his work online, absolutely amazing, and so proud and grateful to have you over here and to hear more about the insights that you have on the startup world in general, specifically as they relate to Portugal and the Netherlands, and how we can make more use of this talent that we have between our two countries. But I believe I'll pass it to my colleague Xavier now, who has a few words to say about the initiative as well.
Definitely, gladly. Thanks for that warm introduction, Dirk. So good afternoon, everyone. First and foremost, for me, it's a pleasure to be here too in this very first online event hosted by the Startup Council. My name is Xavier Correa, head of startups, and as a Portuguese citizen who was living in the Netherlands for about 6 years, it's an honor for me to be connected with a purpose that embraces innovation and collaboration between these two powerful nations. So before diving deep into the insights that will be shared later on by the Council, I would like to briefly introduce you to the Chamber of Commerce and Industry, Portugal, Netherlands, or CCINP for short. In essence, the CCINP, with a physical presence in the Netherlands, is an entity dedicated to fostering economic cooperation, facilitating business opportunities, and further encourage investments between Portuguese and Dutch communities. So talking precisely about startups or any ventures, really eager to expand their footprint, we can be an ecosystem player that offers a comprehensive support tailored to your needs, such as soft landing, network opportunities, and mentorship. And as Dirk said, and pretty well, today we have our co-chairs of the Startup Council, Isabel Neves and Miguel Enriquez, experts in the startup scene for decades, who will share some valuable insights to help you navigate within this ecosystem. So please find and access more information about them in the council and in our website. So without further ado, Isabel, maybe would you like to take the honor to kick this off? You're muted, Isabel.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much, Xavier and Dirk. I'm very, very pleased to be here and to give this kickoff of the Startup Council inside the CCINP. I hope that me and Miguel could do a very good job to startups here in Portugal and there and in Netherlands. So our aim is to make a bridge between Portugal and Netherlands and to help Portuguese startups to get and to reach new markets, and to help also Netherlands startups to wants to come to Portugal, to provide all the mechanisms and all the programs and all the instruments we have now in the Portuguese entrepreneurship ecosystem. So this can be a very good bridge, a very good work with good results to both parts, both countries, both to startups from the two countries, or even other countries of Portuguese language, or even to other European startups, because we know that we have some mechanisms that could be very attractive to startups all over Europe to come to Portugal. So Miguel can speak a little bit more about these kind of mechanisms, programs, and instruments that can help European startups here in Portugal. And our first work will be, and we'll do our better efforts to do it, will be a mission in Netherlands this year, maybe in October or November this year, and we would like to go to Netherlands with some Portuguese startups to open new chances, new opportunities, making us on the network to know better the ecosystem, the Netherlands entrepreneurship ecosystem, and try to make new opportunities for all. So, Miguel, can you explain what we can help? How can we help?
Yeah.
Okay.
Thanks very much. Thank you, Isabel. And I would like to begin by thanking Marisa, as president of CCINP, Xavier, as he is a Portuguese guy, and his team, Dirk here present, and other members of the team. I feel very honored to be part of this organization and part of this council. And I would like to thank you for the superb work you have been doing in this Chamber of Commerce. And I will try and help to explain how this can be useful as well in the context of the entrepreneurship world, and to assist startups both from Netherlands and from Portugal. Actually, I've been working with startups for most of my life, I would say, decades, as Xavier was saying, to be honest. And I've been doing it in different capacities. I led a venture capital fund many years ago, which it was actually maybe the first fund in Portugal investing in startups, full stop. It was the beginning of this millennium, of this century. And we have developed it, and it has become what is now Portugal Ventures, which is actually one of the biggest VC funds still operating in Portugal. Then I went to the corporate world, and I did one of the earliest programs on corporate venture, and we assisted the creation and nurturing of startups, particularly in the areas of sustainability. As early as 2007, we created one of the first companies or startups devoted to sustainable buildings and construction in Portugal. Still exists and thriving. And also in the area of tech, clean tech, mostly the field of related with wastewater, etc. So I did venture in the more institutional capacity in a venture fund, and then in the corporate world as well. And we see now a lot of companies, particularly big companies, very active in doing corporate ventures, but this is very recent, I would say, and fortunately is an important part now of the ecosystem as well. But we hope to enlarge the number and quality and sectors of the companies that are directly involved in financing startups and creating startups and investing in new projects. And all that time and after that, I have always been a mentor to startups, even before they were created, and then helping their creation and sometimes the scale up of these companies which were once a startup. Even in the context of the academia, universities, both in Lisbon and Porto. Now they are spread all over the country, fortunately, with entrepreneurship programs. And I teach entrepreneurship in a few of them. And the good thing about it is that I come across a lot of projects and a lot of entrepreneurs and new companies, new startups. So it is actually a very interesting point of view position to be to have an assessment of what is going on in the market and how fast it is growing, and also the quality of these startups that are born today, and they are very different from what they were 20 years ago. And this has a name. Why are they so different now? Why do we have startups which are much more solid, much more developed, and they know exactly what is their roadmap, where to go? The name of the game is ecosystem. This has to do with existing an ecosystem that can support all these companies, all these projects, all these activities. And the ecosystem lives of all the beings and all the players that are around the projects and around these startups, being it customers, being it suppliers. Supply chain is very crucial for any business and certainly for a startup. Sometimes competitive advantage. People tend to look at competitive advantage as the differentiation point in the market, but that's not necessarily the case. Sometimes, and in the situation of a startup, this is particularly true, that the competitive advantage derives from the company or the entrepreneurs being well positioned in the value chain and having access to better or less expensive resources. And I think we as a council, a startup council in this chamber, and this chamber itself can have an important role in building a more efficient supply chain in some of the situations. And this is a crucial role I see in this initiative as well. So the ecosystem is suppliers, customers, investors. They are an important part of the ecosystem, believe me. Human resources. It is very important that you have people that are used to work in startups, used to the volatility and sometimes instability of the startups, and a more messier world than a formal or big companies. And this is something that also contributes to the growth and success of the company, is this human resources who bring with them what is called the implicit knowledge of a specific activity or an activity in a specific context. And this non-explicit knowledge is very important for the success of these companies. So today we have, and this is my message today, we have a very buoyant ecosystem, which means that they create a lot of startups now, but not just buoyant in terms of quantity of activity, but also the quality of the startups we have. I remember being, it is many years ago now, like 6 years ago in or even more in Scandinavia. And as you know, Scandinavian people do a great job with startups and entrepreneurship, and they work as a single community in these Scandinavian countries, particularly Denmark, Sweden, and Finland, and visiting their hubs and their structures that support startups. And they were very proud that they had already created, I think it was 2 or 3 unicorns. And I was very excited at the time and thinking, will this come to Portugal? Will we have sometime a unicorn in our country? Now we say we have 6 to 7. You say 9? Okay.
Yes.
So I have to update my account. But yes, we have more than a handful in a country with 10 million people and not very robust economic activity from the point of view of the private economy. So if we compare it with other countries, for example, our neighbor Spain, number of unicorns they have is much less per capita or per any economic indicator. So we are doing quite well. We are doing quite well. And again, why? Because we have already a mature ecosystem. And to have a mature ecosystem and to grow this ecosystem, to make it more robust, you have to have an international scope, an international activity and ambition. And of course, these unicorns that exist with the Portuguese NDA or a Portuguese or owned by Portuguese entrepreneurs, they have as their market the international, the global market, and of course not the Portuguese or the Iberian market. So you need to see the globe as a single market, if you will, to be able to create a real success, to be able to create a real global company. And this is where I think that we can progress still a lot. Why? Because we tend to, and when I say we, I'm talking mostly about Portuguese startups and Portuguese entrepreneurs. I know less about the Dutch entrepreneurs, but I know that Dutch are people who are globetrotters, have been all their lives, and they really they have a small country as we do, and they have always thought of the economy as a global economy. And yes, we have Dutch people, Dutch companies, important companies in Portugal, but we have also Dutch startups which are already in Portugal or in process of coming or looking at the Portuguese ecosystem to establish their operations also in Portugal. I feel we have now a lot of foreigners, a lot of foreign entrepreneurs living in Portugal. That's true, contributing to this ecosystem, but we still are like in a corner of Europe. We still have difficulty in accessing even the other countries in Europe, let alone countries outside Europe. And this is where I think we can make a difference. This is where I think CCINP is particularly well positioned to help companies in the Netherlands to come to Portugal and partner with players in this ecosystem, their peers. This is very important, to put entrepreneurs talking to entrepreneurs, but also potential customers, again, suppliers, investors, etc., and also Portuguese companies looking at the Dutch ecosystem to find their partners, being them peers or other sort of players of this ecosystem. And this is where I see most of the benefits and virtualities of this Chamber of Commerce, because what we want to do based on your competencies, on your structure, on your way of being and acting. And when I say your, I mean the Chamber of Commerce and Industry, CCINP. We want to create an environment whereby people feel at easy and feel that they have here the environment to do this international reach, in this particular case, from Portugal to the Netherlands and from the Netherlands to Portugal. We want to create like a family environment whereby people come and it is very easy for them, and it is like very natural to talk to their peers in the other country, and to look at the other country as a natural space to expand or to find what you need at a certain point. So this is how I see the role of CCINP in the Portuguese and Dutch ecosystems, and in combining them and in bringing them together. And I think this can be really useful both for the Portuguese company and for the Dutch company. I remember of a company I met, this was already over 5 years ago. It is a Dutch company in the area of biotechnology, and they spotted Portugal as a partner country to provide them mostly with researchers and with people, entrepreneurs, who could help grow this Dutch startup. So they started by like employing people here, trying to see how they could make them entrepreneurs on their own. And they have now, for some years now, a lab in Universidade Nova in Caparica, and they are very happy with this joint venture, or with this joint initiative of having in Portugal, as I said before, a natural extension of their activities, using our very highly and skillful human resources, our researchers, our people who have now experience in not just research, but also in translating or using that research or the product of that research to go to market and to make products to market and to have business with. There is another example, more recent, which I am involved with, a company in the field of IT for energy. They are people who know about energy and who know about IT platforms, and they are developing a platform specific for some specific use on the energy field. And we are bringing them to Portugal. They have already created a Portuguese company here, and we will assist them in having access to financing and having access to our financing instruments, both public and private, and to, again, human resource and the energy community. As you all know, we are very active in the renewables, wind, both onshore and offshore, solar, and now hydrogen as well, and biogas. So this will be very helpful, I think, for this company to integrate and to be part of our national ecosystem as well. And talking of these instruments of the ways we can help in Portugal Dutch companies, apart from all these general benefits I mentioned on the human resources, supply chain, etc. We have now what I think is a robust and easy to access set of instruments to finance companies which have any sort of relation in Portugal, particularly if they have some operational activities in Portugal, like the companies I mentioned, one which is based with a lab in the university, and the other which is creating or has created the Portuguese company, and we'll have a few people working here. Why? Because we have our own European community programs, which are called Horizon. It was Horizon 2020, and now it's Horizon 2030 in Europe, and in Portugal is Portugal 2030. And I find them as particularly generous in terms of the sort of financing that they give out to good projects, comparing with other countries in Europe. But then we have some instruments specific to the startup world, as the tech visas, for example, tech visas, and to substantially finance these companies, I would point out two important phenomena that happened in Portugal. One is called CFID, as Isabel was mentioning, and CFID is a program which makes possible that bigger companies, established companies, instead of paying all the taxes, all the corporate taxes on earnings, they can invest in funds called CFID funds, and these funds invest in technological startups, in ID, ID sort of expenses that these startups have. So this is an indirect form of these companies, these bigger companies investing in startups. They do it through funds. And we have many hundreds of thousands of euros, I would say over a billion, I think, not thousands, hundreds of millions of euros. I would think it is bigger than a B, 1B, available to invest in ID in startups. So this is a very interesting instrument to finance startups, and they can be, of course, foreign startups operating in Portugal, or Portuguese startups even with foreign activities or foreign partners as well. And apart from that, the Portuguese government launched a program to finance, is a fund of funds for VC, particularly VC, which has selected 14 new funds which are co-funded by this program, which is a PRR in Portuguese, which is one of those recovery plans set by the European Union. And this means that we have again is 1.3 billion euros of new funds to invest just in startups, or just VC startups in the early stage. So we have, I would say, a flood of financing for interesting and projects with startups. And so if any of the entrepreneurs, both in Portugal, but also foreign entrepreneurs who are considering and are looking for financing and fundraising, they should look at Portugal as an obvious location and place to integrate their funds. So to stop and give the word back to Isabel to add something, I would just say that what we want to do in this council and with CCINP is to create the conditions to facilitate this joint activity, this proximity between the Dutch and the Portuguese ecosystems for peer-to-peer interactions and for people to find what they need, looking at the other country as a natural extension of their own country. And I really trust CCINP to do this. Thanks very much, Isabel.
Thank you, Miguel, because you facilitate my life very, very, very much. You spend the time we had, and
sorry about that.
and you said everything we can say in these phases. You talk about all the things that Portugal can offer to foreign startups that can want to invest here in Portugal or develop their own activities here in Portugal. As well, you said about, and you talk about what you can do to Portuguese startups, looking for other countries, other markets, other customers, other suppliers. So you talk about everything we can say in this phase. I can what can I say more than that? I would like to spread the word about our mission, our council, our startup council inside the CCINP. Try to make to make it visible and get lots of people to know what the work we want to do in order to have startups enough to our mission next October or November in Netherlands. So now we must work very hard in reason to have startups to go with us and to begin to make this bridge and connecting people, connecting both ecosystems and so on. So we will be able to do it, and I know that we will be able, because the two of us, we are very, very well known in the Portuguese ecosystem. We work very hard in this ecosystem for a long time, and it's not very difficult for us to offer the best way we can to people that will join us. Thank you very much. And I think that our time is completely spent.
Well, I don't know if there is any question or anything you want to add, Xavier, Dirk.
If you have questions.
Maybe we can see if the audience have any questions for us.
Well, apparently not.
Well, I have one question, sort of to do, maybe either one of you could answer it, but I'm very interested to see what you think maybe the most promising avenue for cooperation between the Netherlands and Portugal is. Where do you foresee startups having the most synergies between the two countries? Because obviously the Netherlands produces a lot of talent startups. We have a lot of things in tech. And Portugal is a great deliverer of tech talent and tech startups as well. With the Web Summit, it's amazing the startups that we see there. Do you think this is the best possible path for synergies? What industry do you perceive startups having the most synergies possible between the two countries?
Do you mean sector-wise?
Sectorally, yes. So sector-wise.
Is it okay?
Well, from my experience and what I know about Netherlands, I think one of the sectors, the priority sectors will be food food, agri-food. I think that there are lots of things in common and lots of things that we can do about agri-food. And also the biotechnology, I think it could be very, very interesting, the biotechnology, and also the gas and the gas energy in general. Energy, biotechnology, and agri-food, I think among other sectors, but these three sectors, I think, can be the priority.
Yeah, of course, there is always the IT. IT is a very transversal sort of activity for all sectors, right? So digitalization is one of the 3Ds of our future or of our present, really. So IT, I don't see it as a sector, to be honest, because it is on the basis of everything now. But of course, as you said, Dirk, in both countries we have hubs of important innovation in terms of IT. But I see IT going hand to hand with development of the different sectors. And of course, in Portugal, we still have a very traditional industry like shoes, textile, etc., where IT is becoming more and more important in assisting to growth and development of these sectors. So I consider the traditional will be always present, but in terms of what is today, in the order of the day, I totally agree with Isabel. Food security is one of the main concerns all over the world, and Holland is very strong in there, and Portugal is paying more and more attention to that sector as well. So I think if I had to select one, it would be that with clean tech and energy.
Okay.
Thank you.
Perfect. And with that, I would also like to just thank, of course, massively the presence of Isabel Neves and Miguel Henriques. Was very insightful, this first introduction from your side. And there is a tremendous horizon of possibilities that we can explore and actually have an impact in these two great ecosystems, as it was beautifully described from Miguel Henriques and Isabel. I also like to take the chance here to let know the audience that we will have more and more these digital meetups where we can interact with each other, more topics can be explored, and hopefully even answer to all of your questions. Not just with the Portuguese ecosystem, but also with the Dutch ecosystem, as we, in our team, as well as in our stakeholders, we count with massive network connections in both sides. But of course, we also want to give firsthand this space to the Portuguese talent, which is all around the world, because they not always have that stage, and we are just starting to spread over all the Dutch and Portuguese communities worldwide. So without further ado, I would like to
Javier, just a question: how can people reach us? The best way for people to reach us and CCINP.
Very, very good question. Actually, and as Marisa did pretty well, she also left our email address in the chat, ccinp@ccinp.org. Feel free to reach us through that email, and we will get back to you as soon as we can.
Thanks very much. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you.